Welcome to Max Asian. Today we're celebrating 10 Korean romantic comedies that won't break your heart halfway through. No open endings, no goodbyes that hurt too much, just stories that know how to close well. From romances set in publishing houses and art museums to weightlifters, robots, and 400-year-old aliens. Something for everyone, and all of them deliver. But before we get started, it would mean a lot if you took a moment to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for your kind support. Number 10. Romance is a bonus book. Kang Danny had it all, a thriving career as an editor, a marriage, and a daughter. But after 11 years away from the workforce to focus on her family, she finds herself divorced, unemployed, and with nothing on her resume that doesn't expose just how long she's been out of the game. Desperate, she makes a risky call, lying on her application to get a junior internship at the publishing house, where her lifelong best friend, Cha Yun-ho, happens to be the youngest editor-in-chief in the company's history. What starts as a secret that's hard to keep slowly grows into something more complicated as feelings begin shifting in directions neither of them anticipated. The series moves at a gentle pace that can feel slow for those looking for dramatic turns, and the romance takes a while to become explicit. But that patience is part of its charm. It's a story about reinventing yourself in your mid-30s, about friendship becoming love without anyone being able to pinpoint exactly when it happened, and about starting over with dignity. Lee Jong-suk and Lee Na-young have a real dynamic between them, a drama that leaves a genuinely warm aftertaste. Number 9. Her Private Life. Sung Deok-mi is the chief curator at a prestigious art museum, flawless at her job and completely respected by her colleagues. What nobody knows is that once she leaves the office, she becomes the most dedicated manager of a K-pop idol's fan site, living a double life she maintains with near-professional precision. Everything gets complicated when the gallery hires a new director, Ryan Gold, arriving from New York with his own ideas and an attitude that clashes directly with hers. What starts as a tense boss-employee relationship takes an unexpected turn when Ryan accidentally discovers Deok-mi's secret life and decides to use it for his own purposes, setting off a chain of misunderstandings and comic situations that neither of them saw coming. The series doesn't go deep enough with its supporting characters, and some parallel storylines are left a little unresolved. But the dynamic between Park Min-young and Kim Jae-wook is strong enough to carry everything. The show treats the world of fandom with unusual respect and warmth, never mocking those who love with that kind of intensity. Fun, romantic, and with an ending that delivers exactly what it promises. Number 8. Fight for My Way. Go Dong-man and Choi A-ra are lifelong friends, the kind who know each other so well they've long stopped filtering themselves around each other. He was a taekwondo prospect who showed real promise, but an incident cut his career short, and he ended up working as a pest exterminator. She dreams of becoming a TV announcer, but has spent years working the information desk at a department store. Around them, their best friend and her boyfriend of 6 years are going through a crisis no one saw coming. What makes this drama special isn't its plot, which is fairly straightforward, but the way it portrays ordinary people who keep trying even when the world doesn't make it easy. The series has moments where the secondary storylines take up too much space and the pacing dips a little in the middle, but Park Seo-joon and Kim Ji-won make it impossible not to root for them. The friendship to love arc here feels completely believable because the two characters genuinely know each other, flaws and all. A story about dreams, pride, and the kind of love that grows from seeing someone at their worst and choosing them anyway. Number 7. What's Wrong with Secretary Kim? Lee Young-joon is the vice chairman of a major company and the kind of person who is entirely convinced the world revolves around him. Narcissistic, perfectionist, and used to everything going exactly his way, he has spent 9 years relying on his secretary, Kim Mi-so, to keep his life running smoothly. So when she announces she's quitting to focus on herself for the first time, Young-joon panics in a way he doesn't know how to handle. What starts as a desperate attempt to keep her at any cost slowly evolves into something neither of them anticipated. Real feelings, a shared past that neither remembers quite the same way, and a dynamic that forces Young-joon to question the inflated image he has of himself. The series has a fairly light tone, and at some point the flashback twists get more complicated than they need to be. But Park Seo-joon and Park Min-young have a dynamic that genuinely works, and there are scenes between them that are laugh-out-loud funny. A classic romantic comedy that delivers exactly what it promises: laughs, tension, and an ending that leaves you satisfied. Number 6. My Love from the Star. Do Min-joon arrived on Earth 400 years ago during the Joseon era and has spent all that time living among humans with cold patience and one clear rule: don't get emotionally involved with anyone. He's an alien with extraordinary abilities, a face that doesn't age, and centuries of accumulated exasperation with the human race. All of that changes when his new neighbor turns out to be Cheon Sung-yi, the most famous actress in South Korea, self-absorbed, impulsive, and completely incapable of going unnoticed. What makes this drama work beyond its fantastical premise is the way Jun Ji-hyun builds Song-yi into a character who could easily be insufferable but ends up being genuinely lovable. The romance develops slowly with a lot of built-up tension, though the final episodes throw in several twists that not all viewers receive the same way, and the resolution can feel a bit rushed. But Kim Soo-yeon's work as someone who has spent 4 centuries refusing to feel anything and suddenly can't help it is among the series' best qualities. A drama that defined a whole generation of genre fans and still holds up remarkably well. Number 5. Because This Is My First Life. Nam Se-hee bought a house with all his savings and now can barely cover expenses. Yoon Ji-ho has spent years moving from place to place with no steady contract and no clear sense of where her life is heading. When a chain of circumstances leads them to share a roof, both realize they have a problem in common. They both need to appear to have a situation they don't. The solution they land on is as practical as it is absurd: a marriage of convenience. What sets this drama apart from other contract marriage stories is that it never treats the arrangement as a joke, but as the starting point of an honest relationship between two people who don't quite know how to fit the molds the world demands of them. The secondary storylines following Ji-ho's friends take up too much screen time in some episodes and slow down the main story. But when the series focuses on its 2 leads, the result is genuinely moving. Lee Min-ki and Young So-min build something that feels slow and real, like relationships that grow without anyone planning for them to. A drama that stays with you long after it ends. Number 4. I Am Not a Robot. Kim Min-kyu has a strange and humiliating medical condition. He's allergic to human beings. Any physical contact with another person triggers a reaction that can be severe, forcing him to live completely isolated from the world. When he finally thinks he's found a solution in a robot he can interact with safely, the plan gets complicated. The robot's creator, Jo Ji-ah, has to impersonate her own invention without him finding out she's actually a person. The premise is absurd in a charming way, and the series uses it to build a love dynamic with something quite particular. He falls for her without knowing she's human, and she falls for him while lying to him about the most fundamental thing. That contradiction sustains all the drama's tension, though the second half loses some of the momentum the opening establishes, and a few plot turns feel a little forced. Hae Soo-bin and Yoo Sung-ho have a connection that works best in the smallest moments, and there are scenes between them that are genuinely tender. A romantic comedy with an original concept that knows how to make the impossible feel completely believable. Number 3. Strong Girl Bong Soon. Do Bong Soon was born with superhuman strength inherited through the women of her family, but what she's always wanted is to be a delicate girl men fall for, not someone capable of bending iron with her bare hands. To make things more complicated, her power comes with a rule. If she uses it to hurt someone without good reason, she loses it forever. Everything changes when An Min-hyuk, the eccentric owner of a video game company, hires her as his personal bodyguard after witnessing one of her feats. The dynamic between the 2 leads is the heart of the drama. He knows from the start that he's falling for her, and much of the series' pleasure comes from watching him maneuver to get closer. There's a parallel storyline about kidnappings in the neighborhood that gets fairly dark, and clashes sharply with the comedy tone of the rest of the story, something that doesn't work equally well for all viewers. Still, few dramas manage to blend fantasy, humor, and romance this effortlessly, without any one element crushing the others. Park Bo-young and Park Hyung-sik have a dynamic that feels completely natural, and there's a warmth to their relationship that few series manage to capture. a fun, tender drama with an ending that more than delivers. Number 2. The Secret Life of My Secretary. Du Minnick is the director of a telecommunications company with a remarkable memory for faces. He can recognize anyone he's seen even once. That ability makes him formidable in business, but after an accident, he develops prosopagnosia, the inability to distinguish faces. The only face he can see clearly is that of his secretary, Zhang Gal-hee, which complicates everything when he starts confusing her with a wealthy young woman who has caught his attention. The situation generates a string of comic mix-ups and misunderstandings that the series handles with considerable charm, though some stretches feel longer than necessary and certain conflicts get resolved too conveniently. The antagonist character also tends to divide viewers. What earns it this spot is the originality of its premise. A man who sees everything clearly except the one person who matters most to him is a metaphor few series would have known how to use this well. But Kim Young-kwang and Jin Ki-ju have a genuine connection, and there's something endearing about watching a man used to controlling everything become completely disarmed by someone he can't even see clearly. A romantic comedy that entertains from start to finish. Number 1. Weightlifting fairy Kim Bok-ju. Kim Bok-ju is the best weightlifter at her sports university, daughter of a former champion, and someone who has devoted her entire life to the sport without ever questioning it. All of that changes when she falls for a doctor at a weight loss clinic she visits in secret, leading her into a double life she doesn't quite know how to manage. On the same campus is Young Jun Hyung, a swimmer who was her elementary school classmate and who carries his own trauma since being disqualified at his first international competition. What makes this drama special isn't its plot, which is fairly simple, but the warmth it brings to every scene. The friendship between the two leads is built so organically that when feelings shift, it feels completely natural to the viewer. Some viewers find that Bok-ju's first crush arc runs too long before the main story takes off. But it's precisely that patience, that willingness to let things grow without forcing them that earns it the number 1 spot on this list. But Lee Sung-kyung and Nam Joo-hyuk have a connection that can't be faked, and there are moments between them that are pure joy. A drama about growing up, chasing dreams, and the kind of love that comes from truly knowing someone, one of the most beloved in the genre, and for good reason. And that's a wrap. 10 Korean romantic comedies that know exactly how to end. Whether you prefer office, romances, campus stories, ones with a touch of fantasy, or ones that simply follow two ordinary people realizing they're in love, this list has something for everyone. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss our next videos. Which one is your favorite from the list?